Enterprise TV, a tradition of truth.
Hello and welcome to yet another Friday of broadcasting. It's Enterprise Morning on Enterprise TV. I'm Cyril Abaku. By the way, we like to call it Enterprise Friday. As is our norm on the show, we will take you through what the headlines are saying this morning, and then we'll head into our main conversation for the morning. I have with me in the studio, I'm not alone, I have company. I have Innocent Adulugba. Innocent Adulugba is a writer, journalist, broadcaster himself, and a public affairs commentator. He will be helping me to make sense of what the headlines are saying this morning. And this morning, I have an offer. I have the Punch newspaper, I have Guardian, I have Daily Trust, and I also have, of course, This Day newspaper. So in no particular order, I will be beginning with, let's check, the Punch. What is the banner headline on the Punch? It says, NNPCL ends fuel import December 2024, projects 4.5 trillion naira revenue. The riders say fuel importation, shipping costs, port levies will stop, say Ipman, NNPCL boss. Kyari insists on December deadline for Port Harcourt refinery repairs. Speaker demands privatization. Another story on the Punch says, cash crunch worsens, food spending drops by 3 trillion naira. That's quite a humongous sum if you ask me. Ondo police arrest housemaid son over killing of boss. And finally on the Punch we have Jusun Oshun chapter on coalition cause over anti-CJ protest. So, good morning to you, Innocent Adulugba.
Good morning, Cyril. It's a pleasure to be here.
Of course, the pleasure is always ours.
Thank you.
Right. So the banner headline says NNPCL ends fuel import December 2024, projects 4.5 trillion naira revenue. I mean, we've had this. In a manner of speaking, we could say Nigerians have had a run-in with the NNPC, or the NNPC has had a run-in with Nigerians over its accountability, transparency, and everything it does. Now they say they're going to end fuel import roughly in a year's time. Do you see this even happening?
Well, let's just be hopeful. I think NNPC at a time like this are trying to dole out this kind of information to water down backlash against themselves and build positive PR. Otherwise, we are used to dates, forecasts that come and go, and almost nothing happens, nothing changes. That's a date by almost 13 months away, if we're in November now, and you're calling it December 2024. I also wonder what this means, the nitty-gritty beyond this heading, because in the course of ending subsidy, ending import, ending all of that, Nigerians are gravitating towards hard times. So it's a welcome information. The masses would like to know the details. What it portends for them as it affects their position of affordability in the economy we are now having. So it's one thing to have the headline in the tabloid. The layman, the common masses are waiting for how it will impact or affect them. At what range would this fuel in the end be sold?
So one question around fuel importation has been the matter of local refineries. Over the years, we've had arguments for modular refineries. We've had arguments for making the local refineries work. To privatize or not to privatize, Port Harcourt, Warri, Kaduna, and so on. Even here, one of the riders was saying, Speaker demands privatization. And then, of course, lately, enter Dangote refineries. We were told they were going to come on stream in July passed, August passed, September passed. I mean, we had a president who went to Dangote refineries to go and launch the takeoff of what they said was going to become effective 2 months after, and this is more than 2 months after, perhaps 8 months now, and nothing has come out of it. So, is this politics of oil of politics? Where do we even begin to place it?
Let me thank you. You are echoing what I just said. We hear dates, they come, they go. With regards to local refining, I used to wonder when last these existing refineries give out refined, locally refined
Products.
when last. And if we backdate to when last, the staff team at the NNPC till now, who are not refining locally, are they on regular salaries? What are they being paid for? Because the NNPC is existing to provide refined products locally for use here in the country. So I would say if the refinery per se is sleeping on its duties, let's not say they've done nothing. Perhaps let's live with alternatives. Life is always on the run. The modular one, like you mentioned, can come to the rescue. It will be a question of quality processing.
But the challenge we've also had with modular refineries has been the question of they are not able to get crude because at the point of production, crude is stolen. So you have a case where 98% of what is produced is in quote, stolen. Because, pardon me, I have to put it in quote because if you steal up to 98% of what you're producing, for me, it doesn't seem like it's theft, but that's what it is. So even they are not getting crude as they should get, so their survival in the market is jeopardized.
The topic is diverse. The volume of crude you call stolen, who has the capacity for such theft?
Exactly.
What are the gateways, the checks, the processes leading to this kind of theft? Are we getting sincere feelers from those talking to us? Who are the gatekeepers? But lastly, if a modular refinery should exist, they have to get supplies. And if we are sincere, look, if we go wider to OPEC, the volume of crude God has blessed Nigeria with naturally, we shouldn't be in this drag. We are almost one of the, as good as, let me use the word few, so that I don't come down to a conclusive data, who are in this quagmire. I don't think Angola are this, let's call another African brother country, not to talk of across the Atlantic, Venezuela. I'm not even going towards the Gulf states yet. So I'm calling those of us outside of it. So why would 98% of crude evaporate?
There you have it.
So if we do that, let me a quick one here. The modular refineries will thrive. And notice that they don't need mega resources for takeoff. It's just in silos, in their little kiosks where they are. And there will be employment down the chain, but there will be availability. So the huge cost of exporting crude and importing exorbitantly, I think it will mitigate that gap.
All right, let's move to other stories. This one says cash crunch worsens. Cash crunch worsens. Food spending drops by 3 trillion naira. I don't know if you have witnessed the recent cash shortages. You go to the bank, they say you can't withdraw more than 20,000 naira. You go to some ATMs, there's no money, to dispense. People in the north, Kano, Yobe, Adamawa, and so on. Even Katsina, they take their wares to the market. They wouldn't take transfers. If you don't have cash for them, they take their goods back home with them because there's a serious ongoing cash crunch in the land. I don't know if you've seen this, but I mean, food spending isn't the only thing that we talk about, but perhaps the editors have chosen to play it up because it needs food. But why a cash crunch at this time? The CBN has come out to say all the notes are still legal tender, but the question is, if there was no crisis, why would you even come out and make this comment?
Well, it's a hydra-headed topic, and it will get to litany of list of people. It's a ridiculous anticlimax that in a year, new notes were printed. Before the new notes were printed, the old notes were not scarce. So the new note is a buffer, exorbitantly, expensively executed. So I would say, in the simplest example, the old notes were surplus. new notes came to increase it, and within this increase, we're having cash. You can imagine that. How do you balance? You hear the impossible these days. I don't want to call it miracle, but we see with regards to food again, we are speaking Cyril, across the spectrum.
Yes, we are.
The spectrum is so wide. Let me calm down. Again, when you do this, you touch sensitive topics.
You do.
We have land in Nigeria, about the largest in West Africa.
Yeah.
Land for me is not wrong or bad. You can roll and take away some. So the land is fixed and permanent. Our land is fertile. Farmers are being chased from their farm with regards to herders clash.
Yeah.
Herders are armed, are unlicensed. There is no authority checking their license. I think that's why I say we're in a spectrum, and the loop is unpalatable. And human beings exist. Our source of livelihood is food. Before we go to shelter or clothing, and all of them are tied to food. So there is no cash. Farming is no more stable. Are you aware that pap is now the size of onions? Onions are now the size of egg. I don't know what egg
it's become the size of.
And then when you hear the prices,
Yes.
And okay, like I said, it's hydra-headed. I'm going to touch on some sensitive sports just quickly. Manual labor is what is predominant in 2023. Hoe and cutlasses. How much is a tractor?
Question.
How much is one jeep recently allocated to our?
A senator, yes.
So how many tractor can that jeep buy? So what is the intention of government to revamp agriculture? Let's put this side by side.
Let's even now come to this day newspaper, because there's a strong story on agriculture here. The story actually says, Shetima to governors at National Economic Council, we must develop our agri sector for self-sufficiency. The writer say, NEC to channel $1.5 billion donor funds to 36 SAPZs, SABs, meaning targets 17.5 million jobs, 100,000 farmers nationwide.
You see, all of our topics are related. The grammar is sweet. It's very sweet. But you see, a woman, let me use, with due respect to gender, a market woman who is not as lettered as us, does not care about these headlines. She just wants to go to the street and say that things are like how they ought to be.
Innocent, if you don't have me coming in here, your farmers can go to the market to farm. The CBN has taken off some of the items that were restricted before. We can now import rice again. Okay? So, whatever your farmers are producing locally is facing stiff, if not better, competition from overseas, unrestricted. How can you now say that you are depending on local agriculture? Farmers can go to farms. The things that they are, then whatever it is that we are farming in Nigeria has a perhaps better developed alternative coming from China or from Malaysia or Singapore or even the US. So how exactly are they going to thrive given that Nigerians even have a strong appetite for anything coming from overseas? I'm just thinking out loud.
It's a policy crisis. With due respect to the Southwest, with due respect to the Southeast, maybe South-South, the bulk of Nigerian farms are in the North Central, possibly Northeast and the rest, depending on the grain coming in. Now, these places, a large chunk of our farmers are presently domiciled in IDP camps.
And
they are separated from their farms.
Just to add this, the CBN was giving loans directly to farmers. They took the loans, and some months later came back to say we were farming when the floods came and wiped everything out of the, so you can't get your money back, and we've lost our farms.
Well, it depends on the terms. Depends on the terms, but loans must be paid back.
So the argument, yes.
Yeah, okay, finish up.
The argument is that in the first place, the CBN is not supposed to be giving direct loans to individuals. It's not their remit. But it appears that even because the amount of money that was spent on those anchor borrowers program was humongous, was big. So those monies were taken. People went to whether they found or not was not even the issue. Okay. They came back with the report that the floods, maybe that came from Cameroon, has wiped away everything that they. So you even wonder, how does CBN have a facility in billions without insurance, without any kind of cover? And was an audit carried out to know that these were really farmers or not? Or not?
I say it's a policy crisis. You know, we live in wonderful times.
Sure we do.
To alleviate poverty, you see a conscious, sensible government go to the market to directly distribute money. And so it's a similitude from an apex financial institution that should know the rules. And like you've used the word, unchecked by insurance. You know, so by the time it gets to this frugality, there is an intent of corruption behind it. Because with regards to auditing, where is the statistical census to check who got what? Who is to return what? When? Where are the books? But we like I said before, we should look at the intent of this agriculture. We farm a lot in Nigeria. Inside decorated hall with air conditioning, you hear a lot of grammar and the intention the farmers will do. We farm a lot in Nigeria on the headlines of newspaper. But like I said before, if you look at your growing up days, with due respect to our parents, they don't speak this our grammar. They just go and bring what is to be brought. So
and yes,
the masses are waiting for the government, CBN, private schemes, farmers, to convince them with tangible pragmatics.
Evidence, yes.
Not how sweet the grammar is with the headline. In hunger, we will read this.
Okay, I now go to the banner headline of this day, because of course I had to take the story I took earlier to sync it with the thoughts from the previous newspaper. Now on this day, the banner headline says, Olanik Bekun, appeal court can't correct clerical errors in Kano Guba judgment. Now, anybody who is familiar with horror films knows that something major is about to a major cataclysmic showdown is about to happen in Kano. Olanik Bekun says appeal court can't correct clerical errors in Kano Guba judgment. I believe it's the story you're following.
Yes.
The tension as NNPP APC hold rally tomorrow. Court reverses Nasarawa governor sack. We are not talking Nasarawa yet. We're on Kano, where the judgment said that Nasiru Gawuna was the winner of the election. That was what the court of first instance, the tribunal said. Upon appeal, the appellate court, the court of appeal said that upheld the judgment of the lower court. But then, when the CTC, the certified true copy, was to be released, we heard that it was the opposite. It was that the sitting governor, the NNP governor, Abba Yusuf, Gida was the one that now won the election. And though it does, they are calling it clerical errors. It doesn't look like an error to me, because errors are what's an error? You should have put a T, you should have put an is, you forgot to put an is, you could have put an. But this one is, you have whole paragraphs. This is a rewritten judgment, actually. And that's what came out as the certified true copy. Now, the court came out to say it was the clerk, it was a clerical error, and he's saying that what they read in court, what they said in court was the real judgment. Now, this is counsel to the governor, saying that the appeal court cannot correct clerical errors. Innocent, somebody has murdered innocence in this matter.
Well, I'll be relieved if you don't drag my name into this.
My apologies.
Yes, I'll be relieved. But it's whether we were talking food or it's a litany of our system. How can you hear this in the afternoon? If you look at the College of Sons, senior advocates in Nigeria, if you look, some of them are professors. So, and then we hear with God all things are possible. How can it be said that an error cannot be corrected? Cannot. So where are the relevance of the human professional? Because you and I exist to solve problems. That's why we are in existence. We will be taxed. We will be faced with challenges daily. I don't know if you are getting me. So
Sure, I do.
our job in our organization, in our families, in our society, is to combat problems. So sorry.
Yeah.
Now, where I am worried, don't laugh, please. Where I am worried
It's fine.
is that court verdicts stand as precedents. If we defend this distortion, we will be bequeathing distorted verdicts to successive court hearings.
You see, because this now throws up a lot of questions. And I, for one, I love politics to the extent that I love to follow and observe the proceedings, who said what, who did what, and so on. I enjoy it. Now, at the risk of relishing this absurdity, Innocent, is it unlikely that in Nigeria, the judges might have read that the error could have been them reading the wrong judgment when they read it real time, like when they delivered it at the end of the sittings of the court? Or that, again, the other question would be, you and I can read the Constitution, but it is not interpreted yet.
Yes, it's just raw as it is.
So the lawyers would say that until a judge has pronounced upon the section, you cannot say it is interpreted. You can't make an ex cathedra pronouncement. It's until the matter has been brought before a court to make sure. I've not seen this has happened before, where a court will give the main judgment in Nigeria, particularly in politics, and then come back and write something else and say this is the, and then say no, it was an error, because the court didn't say it didn't come from us. What the court said was that this was clerical, so it came from them. But the question is, to what extent is it clerical? Because this is more whole paragraphs.
I've seen it. It's
great. Okay, good.
It's an article.
So you and I, what I honestly don't know how Mr. Olanipekun is going to seek redress in making sure that the CTC that was circulating is what comes to stand. But why do you think that what he's saying is wrong?
Okay, see, two things.
You got my question?
Yes, it's not even a judge matter.
Great.
From where you sit, you are aware of the bidding of a jury. Mm-hmm. So all of these learned people went through all the, before you read a judgment from the seats in the courtroom, it must have been written already. This delivery, I'm talking about.
Well, it could be handwritten, it could be
Yes.
I mean, just to tell them what happened, and then they can say apply for the CTC.
So my point is, if it is littered with errors from where we see all through, and not the court, I would say the pronouncement is wrong. What's his name? Abba Yusuf, the NNPC man, should just sit where he is. We've seen, this is Nigeria, we've seen how Rotimi Amechi accepted his governorship seat, Adams Oshomole, and all there have been.
Ralph Aregbesola.
Yeah, thank you. So where the process was not with this drama, there will be grumbles, there will be disgruntled people, but the process sailed through. I don't know if I get to me. So if in Kano, this is the back and forth we are having, then leave the NPP man alone. That's my thinking. Because like the instances I've given with Oshomole, with Amechi, Rauf, and the likes, I was not happy that my camp has, the mandate of my PETA was withdrawn. But there were no comical issues like this around. So after grumbling, you let it go. But if this one is mired with these controversies,
No, but how
already, take it from me, let's look at the end process. Let's not look at this paragraph thing. If this is the situation, leave the NNPP man alone. When the court gets its house in order and can deliver straight judgment, we apply it. 2, there is executive, there is legislature, there is the judiciary. I, from here, serious, believe the judiciary have divested their gowns. They are wearing a superficial toga of credibility. Because the judiciary now has allowed itself to be largely politicized.
Some have said the NJC should step in and investigate the matter. I mean, this is 2 days after we've not heard of anybody being arrested. We've not heard of any.
I'm sorry, you will never hear.
Oh, great.
You will never hear.
So, will you walk me through it because you're following this story? How in the world is it that the judges come to the court, whether it was a unanimous judgment or split judgment, and say, this is where we stand, it's XYZ. And by the time the judgment is being prepared, is it that they didn't give the manuscript to the person who was going to type it out or something, so somebody sat down to rewrite and then gave it to the person who, I mean, it came out as the certified true copy of the judgment.
You see, the copies are already in circulation.
So you walk me through it. What do you think really happened?
Well, I don't know from where I'm sitting, but I think there were too many spontaneities.
Okay.
Too many hasty processes.
So if the if the court had said, listen, people of the whatever parties of the suit, this judgment is fake and did not emanate from the court, by now the matter would have been put to bed. I mean,
yes, now.
So there have been a case of forgery. But where we stand, the court said it was clerical error. That the court is even calling it clerical error is a matter that is worth investigating.
Yes.
What do you call an error? There was a time in 2001, thereabout, when the president or when the Senate or House of, when National Assembly passed any electoral act. The president signed it into law, and there was a variance between what he was given and what became the final version.
Midway.
Yes, and the president said it was the printer's devil.
And that error now stood.
No, the devil came. Yeah, I mean, nobody said he had cast the devil out, so the devil stayed in that, But the question is, how is this what we call an error when whole portions of a document, whole paragraphs, you and I couldn't have written that.
I'm standing on what I said before. The element of error makes the judgment itself an error. I've given instances now.
But now, Olanekweku is saying it is the court cannot change the citizen.
For instance, we used to say it's Senate claims. It's not as if I said here. You've mentioned a comment and there's been no arrest. If there is an error in a case of this magnitude that has made the society restive, the riders are telling you there will be rallies and protests. Because of what? So what they are simplifying as an error. If there is this error, somebody should lose this job.
So somehow
people should be culpable.
So now we're moving from blaming politicians now to blaming. Is it lawyers? Is it the judiciary?
Let me start like this. I have a lot of regards and admiration for lawyers.
I can imagine.
There is a look when you see them seated. You see the gap is lovely. In fact, a lawyer already graduates and the profession is tagged on them. It's not like, with due respect, a political scientist or somebody who studied geography. A lawyer, it carries a lot of prestige. But as we speak, this is a terrible time to be a lawyer. This is a disgraceful period to be a lawyer. I don't know what words to use. I'm saying that the lawyers have allowed themselves to be politicized. To whose benefit? I am repeating it. They are, with that respectful gap presently, or sections of the lawyers now, of the court system, of the judiciary, are now putting on superficial toga of credibility. That's where I stand. So if there is an element of error paragraphed in this verdict, the whole process then smacks of error, and the judgment is an error. Leave the NNPP man alone. When you can organize your house to deliver a non-erroneous judgment, then, like I said, like the Amici saga, like the Shomole saga, it can now be executed.
So 2 last questions. One, the APC and the NNPP are heading for major rallies tomorrow in Kano. I mean, it's not the kind of spectacle I would expect to see, but you never tell what happens. These 2 groups are now fighting to the teeth. They are bent on pressing home their point to say it belongs to us. It belongs. I mean, they've both been given straws to hold on to.
Party the wrong way.
All right. Let's leave it at that for the matter of Kano and for, I think it's this day newspaper. Daily Trust leads with this. War on Gaza. Israeli-Hamas ceasefire begins today. There are about 4 riders. The first says 50 Israeli hostages, 150 Palestinians for release. Israeli forces launch fresh attack ahead of truce. Nigeria, 7 others reject selective application of international laws. West, Israel, not ready for two-state solution, Palestinian envoy. Nigeria drifting in health sector, NEC. Man bags life imprisonment for Sodom in Jigawa. Kogi freezes state local government accounts. And above the banner headline, we have Kano residents panic as APC set for mass rally tomorrow.
I told you that.
Kaduna farmers in dilemma as bandits impose levies before harvest.
Food.
Alleged terrorism financing. FG orders probe of correctional service officers. Yeah, let's even take it from the last story I just read. Alleged terrorism financing. Federal government orders probe of correctional service officers. The story came out the other day that terrorists and bandits who are behind bars have a way of sending money through correctional officers who then pass it on to their sources and so on. But I'm wondering, this was what the army chief or the service chiefs told the Senate about 2 days ago, and now a probe has been instituted. But the question is, we have the banking system, we have telecoms, we have NFI and all this. How is it that it took this revelation for us to wake up to know that this sort of thing was happening?
You see, it's a prismatic society we are in.
It's a what?
Prismatic society.
Prismatic.
It's a prism.
All right.
A contrasting prism of efficiency.
Yeah.
Sustainable efficiency.
Yeah.
Living consciously side by side with inefficiency. So that's the prism I'm talking about. Exactly. That makes it prismatic.
Okay.
We have the policy of going cashless. You see, in our earlier conversation, how do you access money from your ATM nowadays? How much are you allowed to?
Very
but we are talking huge transactions here.
Yeah.
And it's possible. So for me and you, or somebody, let me use the word, an ordinary citizen will rush the wife to a hospital, they want to do CA, they say you should deposit this amount, no. The bank does not allow that.
Yeah.
To save a life of a woman birthing another life. But terrorists
are having a field day.
So that you can see the prism I'm talking about. But I'm interested in this headline. You say Kaduna farmers
in dilemma as bandits impose levies before harvest.
Can you see the link? Now the levies are also in huge transactions.
Taxes.
It will be possible that you and I, for good reason, even for business and investment reasons, cannot do these transactions.
Innocent.
And sorry. It now shows that the bandits are not faceless. A bandit is demanding levy before a farmer can harvest his crop.
Innocent. You can't go to the bank and access forex.
Okay.
But even if these bandits wanted this money in dollars, it is very possible that you're going to get it. Who even knows whether this money won't be paid in dollars to them?
No, but I have another diversion from your point. The bandits have demanded levies before farmers
can harvest their product.
That is a recipe for an effortless arrest. A bandit is waiting to collect money from me to harvest. That's criminal. So at the point of me delivering the money to these bandits, with good strategic coordination, the security agencies should be able to effect arrest. The bandits have announced themselves aforehand. So this comes down to the intent.
The governor said the other time that they used to even listen in on their conversations, they know where they are, but then nothing has been done about it.
And the security agencies receive salary.
Oh well.
For doing what?
The salary is your money, is your taxes.
Anyway, on the international scene, Israel Israel has not kept the terms of truce. I think Israel are yet to get out of how enraged they are. It's looking to me like, yes, Israel is not the aggressor, because in October 7, Israel was the victim of the first, let me say, installment of attacks, if that's allowed. So, but it looks to me like Israel suddenly is a Goliath. Palestine is a David. And Israel are so enraged that how dare Hamas try this? We need to crush them. And at this point, if you look at the balance in might between Hamas or between Palestine and Israel for me is already killing ants with sledgehammers. And I think for the extent of what we have witnessed, if it was a contest, Palestine had lost long ago. Hamas, had lost long ago.
Yes.
I would say it's time for Israel to put a halt.
So it's looking like a case in which the parties involved, okay, Israel and Hamas, Israel will go so far to exact
Destruction.
Yes, to assert itself and exact. Let's now take our last paper for the morning, which is The Guardian. It leads with this story: high OPEX, harsh environment, hobble industrial revival jobs. I'll take that again: high OPEX, harsh environment, hobble industrial revival jobs. That's the headline story. It has pictures of the industrial sector, if you care to take a look at that. It's a big story on pages 4 and 5 of The Guardian. Exchange rate is as high as it has never been in our country. Interest rate stands at 18.75%. As a matter of fact, some days ago, the MPC couldn't or just didn't meet. Again, between 2015 and 2023, the manufacturing sector has lost over 200 players. Factory output continues to decline. Under President Buhari, a lot of industries began to shut down. They began to mothball. Mothballing means they have to begin to just pull down the equipment, keep them safe until a better time when they can reinvest. A lot of international companies have left Nigeria. As a matter of fact, ever since President Tinubu came, the trend has just continued. Former Minister of Investment, Olusegun Aganga, said that Nigeria had been deindustrializing since 2015. So clearly there's been a pattern of Nigeria just walking out of the industrial sector. How then do you become an economic power if you can't produce?
Cyril, it's lamentable. I will just pick certain things. You and I sitting here, from everything we are wearing in and out, they're imported. Nigeria has cotton farms before. We have massive textile industries standing there, accommodating rodents. No work is ongoing there again. So all the income down the chain and the empowerment of the Naira from that subsector,
it's gone.
As we speak.
Jobs, direct jobs, indirect jobs.
Pharmaceuticals are shutting down. Pharmaceuticals, you know. Now we need health to survive. It is a healthy man that can testify to going to work.
Yeah.
That's at one line. The vehicles, the tire people and all. We used to have farms for rubber plantation. Yeah. I don't know where we sit now, we can point or name one prominent. So all these things that we have from our soil disappears or abandoned, and like you said, attractive imports are coming in to take over, and we are crying that the Naira is gaining in impotence. It will steadily gain in impotence. So the OPEX, they've told us as it is. It's and I'm beginning to think that people say I'm foolish. I think I like that. We don't. I'm on TV saying our solution does not lie in foreign investors. If your job pays you 2 million naira a month, you lost that job, you are now taking 500,000 a month. You will just trim your cost.
Yes.
If Nigeria is this broke, trim the cost of governance, beginning from the top. The surplus, you plow back somewhere. If Nigeria is this broke, why do we need a bicameral legislature,
for example?
When a unicameral can
do the job.
Yes, can do the job.
With pattern lawmakers.
If Nigeria is this broke, why does the president need a yacht and the senators need this bumper and we are broke? You know, so that's that grammar I told you. It's a prison. It's two sides of a coin. And we are forcing, so you hear these things. Like I said, the headlines comes deliciously. The reality is on the street.
Yeah.
As we speak, young children yesterday, today, are traveling for their NYC posting. Somebody was crying to me from Lagos to Benin. It's in the range of 22 to 25,000 naira. Lagos to Benin.
To think that less than, I mean, a year ago,
It was maybe 4,000.
4,500.
If you tell somebody 8,000 when it's not Christmas period, you know how the Benin or let me say Wafi people talk, you will get an earful. Okay, now we don't know the financial capacity of these students or the sources of income of their parents. If some of these people don't serve and get eligible for national assignments in future, this will be a check.
The liability will be on them, except a court rules that it doesn't matter.
With this way the courts are going, some people may don't mind going to this kind of courts now, where paragraphs disappear.
Somebody may go to court and say it doesn't matter, you know.
So, but like I said, before you talk, it gets sensitive. So let me stop you. But we have financial institutions, financial experts. There are awesome business department faculties across higher institutions in Nigeria. We are not short of solution. Are we applying them duly and diligently? That's where we stand.
All right, let's take a few more stories before we call it a wrap on paper headlines this morning. Nigeria ranks 144 out of 163 in safest country ranking for 2023. Military deactivates 50 illegal oil refining sites, arrest 51 suspects. Jega, Babatri, others reflect on INEC 2023 elections amid fresh appeal court verdicts. Israel-Hamas war, death toll of Palestinians, 14,200, says ambassador. Reps panel probes 62 billion naira HIV and AIDS intervention funds. Nigeria loses $10 billion yearly to imported welders. Minister laments. Innocent, we're importing welders for $10 billion every year.
To weld what?
Oh well, we didn't ask the minister that question, but I mean, a lot of the oil majors, for example, may be bringing in deep sea welders, major construction jobs, bridges, roads, and so on. They may be bringing in people who do the welding for them at construction sites.
I mean, when you say this, and it has to do with expatriate business, where is the transfer of technology? You know, you have the local content. You bring your whatever. You see, I don't want to name for advertising one of the popular vehicle brands in Nigeria. Nigeria is its largest market in Africa. They have a plant in Libya. They have a plant in South Africa. They don't want to have in Nigeria. You see, the kind
or they would rather not have because they can't afford to have a plant in Nigeria.
Well, if we look at, what did you say, mothball?
Mothballing, yes.
And the way foreign investors are coming and leaving, companies folding down, they may have their...
Because it seems in Nigeria, we apart from the monies you pay, the receipts and everything, I think we have a culture of wanting to just sit back with you and, you know, sip a cup of tea or...
Like I would say now, I was traveling by road from Zaria to Kaduna. It's an axis of Zaria, Jaji, Kaduna, Regachiko down. Harvested tomato were spread on the side of the road for nearly 5 minutes drive. You can imagine that volume. Why am I mentioning this? We don't have processing
plants.
So that's the crude, primitive way the owners can preserve their harvest. So that's where I'm going. Like, our solution does not really lie largely with the foreign investors. Why don't we treat ourselves right? Why don't we treat ourselves right?
Well,
You go to some markets in Benue, in the evening and from 6:30, the tomato that were not bought become waste. That's somebody's harvest for the year. We have gigantic oranges. You travel along Nsuka, the cashews are falling for free. And then we buy one juice, not as thick as urine. They tell you it came from somewhere.
Oh well, so you don't spell our taste buds. Maybe we take the last story for the morning. Just picking one at random now. Jega, Babachiri, others reflect on INEC 2023 elections amid fresh appeal court verdicts. Aren't you worried that the courts just of overturning the elections, every election cycle? This governor was not qualified to be there. This senator didn't meet the criteria. In Plateau State, we had almost assembly members, senators, people just, the court saying no. And now the latest one in Kano. What was wrong with this year's election?
Well, I think INEC was the agent of credibility. And what's the opposite of credibility now? That's what INEC stood for. INEC delivered righteously and unrighteously. So INEC made promises without any gun to them that the beavers would transmit real time. And it did. So credit to INEC. It did for House of Assemblies. It did for governors. It did for senators. Those running for House of Rep. But it seemed the beavers is repugnant to presidential counting.
All right.
So from where all these distortions come, this government is struggling for credibility takeoff.
Yeah.
We've been going and coming.
Yes.
The case seemingly has been laid to rest that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is the undisputed
winner of the election.
But you see, disputes have not gone away.
Yes, they've not.
Court-wise, but you see, the disgruntled nature is continuous.
Yeah.
Now, and that's where democracy is under threat. In the US, in the UK, we see two-party system thriving. Does not discredit the existence of other little parties. So if Kwankwasia is running popular in Kano, and we went to the polls, this same INEC delivered judgment in favor of NNPP. I think this government, the All Progressive Congress, should celebrate that within their time of government, little parties get allowance to even win elections.
To breathe.
And breathe, yes.
Yes.
In the end, in the long run, I think there were governors, was it Ojus or Kalu, who left PPA, was that PPA, or Rochas. There are people who eventually will leave
the smaller parties for the bigger ones.
But within this disputed route, where you've used the word, we are not allowing them to breathe, you arm twist before people even go to the road to protest peacefully. Security men get there earlier than them.
And say that they prevented it because of miscreants.
But where there are killings and robbery, security men arrive late.
You never see them.
So within all of this, you see, I want to talk like somebody who is out there on the streets. I don't want gigantic grammar or staggering statistics or ponderous legalism. Like I said, Nigerians just want to go to the streets and see that things are working. They don't need headlines. But if you call those who defend this, they will read out to you, Nigeria is the largest economy, within this time, this rate is... Those rates are delicious. Do they translate to reality?
Hardly ever.
Like I just told you now, children are going to serve. That cost is on them. And I'm talking Benin. You don't know the person that will leave Lagos for Yola, or the person that will leave Mina for Port Harcourt. We are just talking Lagos, Benin, approximately 5 hours maximum. People don't do that long, but put it that.
Yeah.
That's the cost.
All right. This may be a fine place to then drop.
Yes, we are on the precipice. We are on edge. We are on a cliffhanger.
Okay, Innocent Adulugba, it's been a pleasure speaking with you this morning. I think this may be a fine place to drop anchor on review of the headlines this morning. I must thank you once again for being a part of the show.
My pleasure. I pray that Nigeria gets great again because I'm anti-Japa. Just that I cannot convince somebody who is going to Japa not to go.
All right. We want to say a big thank you now for the last time to Innocent Adulugba and
Thank you. Have a good morning.
Yes, and to all our viewers out there who have kept faith with us this morning. Do join us again for a fresh episode of Enterprise Morning on Monday. Until then, bye.
Enterprise TV, your one-stop shop for news, programs, human angle stories, the economy, sports, and much more. We go the extra mile to bring incredible details to you. So hop on the train now. Enterprise TV, a tradition of truth.